So first, I would like to ask you guys to introduce yourselves and your businesses a little bit from the SaaS point of view.
So my name is Alexandru Costin. I run Business Catalyst for Adobe Romania. I also run Adobe. I was looking at the Prezi presentation, and probably something that's not very clear is that it's built on Flash, which was it's quite a good thing for Adobe. Even in those times, I'm happy our technology has helped startups in Eastern Europe be very successful. I was an entrepreneur actually. Before a Romanian entrepreneur, I had a small company, Interact, with Bogdan Ripa, one of my friends and partners, and went from zero to about $2 million in sales, selling tools for web developers. Then Adobe acquired our company, and we went on a 5 years journey to build the Romanian Adobe R&D center, working on very exciting stuff, things like new advancements in HTML5 with Google and Apple, a lot of video stuff, and Business Catalyst, which is our bigger team. Business Catalyst is an online hosted service for small businesses, helping them manage their business online. So I'm here today to talk about Business Catalyst as a hosted business with recurrent revenues.
Hi, I'm Vladimir. I co-founded Uberview, which is a social media marketing software as a service. We started 3 years ago. We've been part of an incubator called Seedcamp. We didn't have a product then, but we slowly built a product without knowing the business model. Initially, we tried freemium, then premium, but we've always been a SaaS business at heart. So I'm looking forward to the questions to tell you what I've learned so far about SaaS businesses.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, I'm Max. Until last Monday, I ran a company called Quirly, which we've now sold. Product is a consumer data firm, so we sell data about consumers. Initially, it was a pay-as-you-go kind of product, so you paid what you use for, and we transitioned it to a more of a subscription or SaaS-based product. Method of consumption was API only. So this is, I'm not 100% the SaaS guy. Prior to Quirly, however, I was a principal at a venture capital fund called Atlas Venture in London, where we had multiple SaaS investments that I worked with.
Okay, so our team is key metrics for SaaS. And my first question is, guys, can we generalize what the key metrics we should be looking for are, or does it depend a lot on the business model?
I'll leave Vladimir first because I'm sure he wants to be first. It's in his DNA.
It shows. Yeah.
I think the key metrics for SaaS is recurrent revenue. It's actually CMRR. It's committed monthly recurring revenue. That's the metric that everybody will be looking at. And yes, it's the most important metric, and also kind of outlines why SaaS is so cool, because you get subscribers, and every month, in theory, if you are to I don't know, ignore churn, you have a monthly amount of cash flow that you can count on, which is amazing. That's why SaaS is my favorite business model. And if there is a key metric to look at, I would say this monthly revenue, committed monthly revenue.
Definitely, and of course, this is influenced by the churn. It's an important thing to look after, especially, I mean, Vladimir, from what we talked recently, he's more in the mid space of, in the mid segment, charging more for his service. We're lower end, so we're serving really SMBs, and a lot of startups actually are hosting their businesses on our platform. And many of them are going bankrupt, so we have some churn that's kind of natural. So we're basically trying to improve our product to make those businesses successful, to reduce the churn of our recurrent revenue, monthly recurrent revenue.
Can we explain to the audience a little bit about the churn rate and what it means and how you improve it? I mean, some best practices from your experience?
So churn is the amount of subscribers that are canceling every month or every year. So it's like customers who are leaving your service because they can't afford it, they went bankrupt, or your service sucks.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about churn is that it can look very small, but you know, like cumulative interest, it becomes very large over time. So you look at a business that that keeps 80% of its customers per year, it only loses 20% of its customers. Well, after 3 years, that business has gone away. So you essentially have to replace your entire customer base every 3 years. So churn actually as a metric may look small, but becomes very, very important, especially if you're churning on a month-to-month basis.
Exactly.
So can I just disagree with the initial thing? Like, I think committed monthly recurring revenue is a very important metric. I think churn is a very important metric. I think the most important metric in a SaaS business is the ratio of customer acquisition costs to customer lifetime value, because it shows you how quickly your customers become profitable, and it shows you how capital intense your business is over time. So how much funding you need to raise to truly scale your company.
Can we please briefly explain what the customer acquisition cost and lifetime value are?
Am I going too quickly, too far? All right. So the customer acquisition cost is very easy. How much does it cost for you to buy your revenue, right? Like, let's say I want to reach a new customer. How much do I have to pay for that lead, or multiple amounts of lead, like multiple numbers of leads? How much does it cost for me to convert that lead to a paying customer, right? And that can be, you know, it can be Google AdSense, and that person gets in touch and he leaves a phone number and he starts using your free product. And you have to reach out with a salesperson, or there's some other kind of marketing automation way that you upgrade that person to a paying customer. So that entire process, fully costed, is your customer acquisition cost.
Okay. And what are the possible causes of a high churn rate, for example?
If your product's terrible.
Except
Actually,
for that.
it's interesting because, you know, so one other thing I think that is often overlooked is that customers sign up for these products with the same intention that we have when we start using a new productivity tool, like a to-do list, right? They're like, wow, this solves all my problems, right? I'm now using FreshBooks for invoicing. I will never have a problem, you know, sending another invoice. Then people's usage starts to taper off, right? They use it less and less, and they're still paying the subscription, so you don't really notice if you just look at your revenue figures. So the engagement of people using your product is very, very important. You have to keep people using your product, otherwise they will not pay, and that's a wonderful leading indicator for churn.
Or you can cheat and sign yearly contracts, and it's kind of a lesson that we all learn from Salesforce. I read when I was struggling with churn and we're trying to do freemium, which I don't really recommend if you're doing a serious B2B product. And I looked at like what Salesforce did initially when they were struggling with churn, and what they did, they switched from monthly contracts to yearly contracts, and their churn dropped to below 5% or something like that, just by that.
And also, this employs what I now refer to as Vladimir's trick, which is that people ask you for the price of the product, and you go, well, it's this price. And they're like, oh, well, wonderful, at that price I would buy. And then it comes, you know, you start exchanging contracts, and you go, oh, actually, well, the price I quoted you was prepaid annually. That's with a prepaid annual discount already. So if you want to pay on a monthly basis, which they all do, obviously, because they know that they want to, you know, have the option to cancel at some point, then you need to pay more. And that is how you get people to upgrade to the full kind of annual prepaid contract, which is a fantastic tactic.
Yeah, it's like give them as fewer opportunities of jumping out when they're undecided. If you reduce the funnel, the points in the funnel where they make decisions, especially paying decisions, is basically building the right product is probably going to be even more. It's much more important than this, of course.
What we noticed is the biggest problem with churn is, especially with low entry products, products that are, I don't know, below $100 a month. It's to make the customers really take the time and understand your product. So if you look at like what's successful out there in this price category, are very, very simple, basic, almost tools. If you're selling anything that's a little bit more complex, your problem will be to convince someone after paying $50 a month that they should take a few hours in a day to really learn your tool so they can really get some value out of it. And that's the most challenging part, and because they will not take the time and they will churn. And the way we solved that, and we thought we discovered something, but apparently it was out there from the beginning, is increase the price. So if you sell something for $100 a month, maybe people will not pay attention to it. They will forget about it, and then 3 months over, they'll cancel it because, gee, they didn't figure your product out. If you're charging someone $1,500 a month, oh my God, they will surely use the product. They will use all the features. They will ask you about it. They will come with feature requests. They will be, I don't know, like your ideal client. And what we discovered is the more we raise prices, the smaller the churn gets, and the more active our customers are getting with the product.
But in the same time, you're also qualifying your leads to be more.
Definitely.
The leads are much more qualified. So you probably need to have a different go-to-market to reach those more the customers that generate more revenue, etc. So I have an interesting story. So Adobe has many SaaS businesses besides Business Catalyst, and one of them, the biggest one actually, is called Omniture. We have many products in the Omniture business unit, digital marketing business unit, and initially they went after SMBs, so trying to sell analytics to SMBs like back in the 99 or so. And when the dot-com crash happened, they started losing a lot of business. So they started calling customers and asking them, so why are you dropping out? And the answer that's legendary inside Adobe is like, one guy answered and he's like, my mother doesn't allow me to use her credit card anymore. So he like, this guy Josh, he was like, who are we selling to? I think we're not in the right market with our direct sales force. So they moved up to enterprise, and we're doing great in the enterprise space because of exactly this. You need training, you need to invest, and once you've invested, it becomes like a self-fulfilling lock-in process.
HubSpot, I think, perfected this pretty well. One thing that I was very curious when looking at HubSpot as a model was you can't use HubSpot before you go to a training session that, by the way, you have to pay. It's like $1,000 for the training, and the only way you can start using the product is to go to the training session, and they did it just because of the reason that I told you before.
And we were doing it to Business Catalyst. Adobe acquired the company 2 years ago, and we had this partnership program. I think HubSpot actually inspired from Business Catalyst, or there might have been others, but you were supposed to go through a training, and then you were required to apply for one of the partnership programs. Since Adobe acquired us, though, we've observed that you can also have like a free partnership program where you can get folks start to host online businesses with us, and this is actually growing faster than the other $2,000 entry point. So I think it's a mix depending on your go-to-market and your brand awareness. Adobe has a massive awareness in a lot of freelancer space that are not going to pay $2,000 to become paid partners.
Do you think there's a fundamental difference between like the SaaS light kind of businesses and the SaaS heavy businesses? So in the SaaS light category, I would put stuff like, you know, FreshBooks and Zendesk and, you know, all these kind of $100 subscription products that don't really have a B2B use case beyond kind of the startup SMB scene. And like the more, you know, Omniture, Right Now, you know, Salary.com, those kinds of products, which are always B2B sales, they're always kind of multiple $1,000 sales. Is there a difference in those models, or are they fundamentally kind of things along the same dimension, just different scale?
I think they're very different just based on the fact that even within Adobe, our go-to-markets are so dramatically different between the enterprise business and the digital media business. And I know Right Now was just acquired by Oracle, so I think in the enterprise space, what I think is happening though is like there's a lot of innovation happening in the SMB space. Is the consumerization of IT. There's a lot of things happening that are being taken on and absorbed by the big guys, because you cannot sell SAP anymore. SAP is like a really great product, but the user interface is not, I mean, I will not say bad things about them, but it's not very usable. So there is a lot of innovation happening into making the use of enterprise applications much more intuitive and much easier to use, basically. So I think this trend will happen. But in terms of go-to-market, for example, in Adobe, we have a direct sales force that go after enterprises, especially after CMOs, chief marketing officers. Now we're focusing on the marketing segment, And the way they approach deals and the companies we talk to, I mean, I've been doing some integration between Omniture and Creative Suite. We went to all the big four, like top 100 companies in the media space, Condé Nast, Turner, Time Warner, Forbes, etc. And it's a completely different sales approach versus Business Catalyst that's selling to the SMB, small SaaS. We actually don't have a direct sales force. We have nobody on staff selling Business Catalyst, but we have 5,000 partners that go out and they make a living on our platform. So it's a partner network leverage go-to-market that's really working for us because we have like zero, I mean, we pay them a commission, but we have like a zero cost of go-to-market from this perspective. And it's one of the fastest growing businesses inside Adobe, even if it's a quite relatively small one for Adobe. So I think they're dramatically different in my perspective. You're somewhere in between, so what's your perspective on this?
No, I fully agree with you. I think that's what he's saying is 100% right.
I should stop asking questions. Back to you.
Actually, I understood from my colleagues that we are in a bit of a hurry, and I want to leave the audience to ask some questions, if anybody wants.
Just before those questions start, just one more note, because Adobe made some important announcements yesterday, and one of them is actually Adobe is making their the whole Creative Suite available as a subscription for quite an impressive price. What I read, it's $50 a month to access all Adobe software, including a Business Catalyst website in the new product called Creative Cloud. So it's interesting evolution happens.
When are you guys going to do a startup product? Like, you know, like a BizSpark, or I would love to have, you know, Adobe Creative Suite at like an affordable price for small teams.
But it's actually, it's like $50 a month, I think.
But it's the cloud-based tools, or is it?
No, everything.
Oh, really?
Everything. It's like 25 tools or so. I mean, there are too many to enumerate that. Everything $50 a month. I mean, I think we have a $70 a month work group version for, not for individuals, but $50 a month is quite a good deal.
That's cool.
Okay. So do we have any questions from the audience? Yep.
Hi, my name is Philip Petrescu. I am the CEO of Cafion. We build advanced web ranking. I have a question for Vladimir. We're going to launch a new product next year, and it's a SaaS product. And from your experience, you said you wouldn't recommend going with a freemium model. What would you recommend for a new SaaS product to begin with? How would you acquire customers given your experience so far?
I think it depends on what type of product you want to sell. We started, I will tell you what we did, and maybe you can draw some lessons. We started with this assumption at Uberview that social media will become a mainstream B2B thing, and everybody will use a service like ours to manage their social media marketing efforts. And we went after a lot of small businesses with a $49 a month price plan and stuff like that. The challenge is the marketing costs are crazy high. So in order to afford a similar effort, you have to raise a lot of money. So if you go with, I don't know, a consumer-like B2B approach, be ready to spend a lot, and also do a lot of investments in partnerships, so distribution is key. And if you happen to kind of make a bad prediction like we did, we discovered like a year later that the market is not there, and we were making 80% of our revenues from big businesses, so we kind of have to face the facts and admit that we're an enterprise tool and charge more. So this was kind of what we learned. I don't know what type of software do you want to sell. If you're selling something that's like commodity, like accounting or support or something like that, where you have an innovation that can be, I don't know, appreciated by millions of small businesses, then yeah, you may try a freemium approach. But if you have like a high-class product that you don't see, I don't know, your parents' business using, then go with a strictly premium one and charge more. Of course, take my advice as from someone that doesn't know anything about what you want to build or sell.
Okay, any other questions?
Hello. So about a metric that I think it's important, but you didn't mention it, so I was wondering why. I consider very important for the growth of a SaaS business the difference between new signups and churn. So basically, if this is positive, then the business is growing. If it's not positive, then the business is going down. Any thoughts on it?
I mean, I'm actually in the process of reviewing for Business Catalyst exactly this type of information, and definitely this is the true thing. But when we think about monthly recurrent revenue, we're looking, growth is something we're always, I mean, this is kind of a thing that's not even mentioned because this is what we're looking for. This is the reason we come to work every day is how we can get this MRRU increase 10% month over month, 15% month over month. That's especially for startups, you need to at least double your business every year to be on a good growth curve. So the churn, if that's the case, I mean, we're not even talking about this. You're kind of like a dying business if you end up in a point where the churn equals the new customers.
Yeah, but what you're describing is essentially what comes before committed monthly recurring revenue, right? Which is new committed revenue and revenue you've lost. So CMMR is just CMRR is just the net figure after that.
It needs to be positive. I mean, it's.
That would be good.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a problem like that where more customers are leaving than joining your company, becoming a customer, then I think the whole business may be seriously in trouble. I don't think you have a business then.